My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
Hello, fellow gamers! We are the Video Gamers Podcast, and today we are breaking down This Week in Gaming by discussing our favorite news stories of the week. I am your host, Paul, and joining me, he might be a little disappointed because we vetoed him wanting to talk about yet another Black Myth Wukong trailer. They released their final one. It's Josh.
Okay, it was a 4-minute trailer. It was amazing. It showed off tons of combat and boss fights.
Dang it! We can't talk about it every episode, Josh.
We can!
We're deep diving it. We're gonna have so much
All right.
to talk about.
That's
soon.
fair enough.
You'll get your day in the sun. Don't worry, my man. All right, and then joining Josh and me, he is reverse binding himself to a bird, so that way he can fly around his favorite gaming series that he's finally come around on, Zelda. It's Ryan.
Oh no.
No?
No.
Not
yet.
This. We'll talk about this in a little bit.
It's your favorite series of all time, Ryan.
No.
Yeah, I thought you came around on Tears of the Kingdom, Ryan.
Yeah, Tears of the Kingdom I did.
All right, we've got a lot to talk about, guys. I'm not happy about this first story. We got to talk about Dragon Age. I am back to calling it the Failguard.
Veilguard's back, baby!
Veilguard's
Are you
back!
guys with me? Oh, I'm laughing, but I'm crying on the inside. All right. So, guys, you'll remember a couple weeks back, we got we had that horrendous trailer that we ripped on. Then we got a little bit of gameplay, and I remember pointing out to you guys, it looks a little weird because it seems like you can't control your companions. They did have where you could pull up a wheel and do like ability combos, but it seemed like you didn't have direct control of the rest of your companions. And this week we got confirmation, guys. We are not able to control our party members. There was an interview with game director Corinne Bush, I think is how it's pronounced. And they have dropped party controlling. We no longer even have 3 companions. They have dropped it to 2. And the reason that we are told is that this game requires a high number of actions per minute and that it was overwhelming to control more than just the main character. My favorite part of this is that they described this as a feature because they said in all the play tests, people are more engaged than ever. What are your guys' thoughts?
Thank you for saving me from myself is all I can say, guys. You know what? Actions per minute. I can't keep up with that. I'm just a dumb gamer. They have to protect me from myself. And so they're doing this
an
for
RPG
me.
series.
They're doing it for me, you guys. They don't want me to be frustrated.
I know that I personally was so concerned and worried about my ability to play this game, and I am beyond relieved now that I know that I don't have to worry about that many actions per minute and controlling my companions.
I did tell my wife, she heard us talking about this game the other day, and I remember I told her, I said, baby, I'm just really concerned that I'm not going to be able to keep up with the actions per minute in Dragon Age Veilguard. And she was like, yeah, you're getting older. Your actions per minute are really starting to slow down. And I was like, what am I going to do? How am I going to play this game?
Josh, I've been having nightmares thinking, I can't click my mouse that fast. I've seen the trailers. You have to sometimes walk to the left and shoot an arrow. Sometimes you have to dodge.
Combat and movement at the same time?
How are we going to do this? Walk and shoot? No way, sir.
Yeah, that's asking too much. That's asking
Guys, this is so preposterous. We have seen not a ton of footage, but there is nothing to suggest that this is too complex or too complicated to be able to control party members. I just don't understand. Josh, you've been with me since the beginning. We love Dragon Age Origins. And Dragon Age 2 super divisive. It has,
It was
it's
fine.
like,
I get it,
it's
but it was
fine.
still a good video game.
yeah, it was highly playable. Maybe not as good as, Origins.
Right.
And then Inquisition kind of, brought things somewhat back, and it was a little closer to Origins. It's kind of like a hybrid between Origins and 2. But like, this is an action RPG series. Origins was much more RPG than action. And now we are talking about having too many actions per minute. It seems to me like we've just swung the pendulum all the way back to being action and being more arcadey. I'm not happy to hear this. I was really hoping this game would lean more into the RPG side of things, but it's definitely not.
Dude, when I saw the link come up when we were talking about what we were gonna cover, I just said, "Oh no, poor Paul."
Yeah,
I'm not one. I haven't played any of the Dragon Age, so this is like a big time feature, right? Like this is a huge change for the series overall.
Well, yeah, Dragon Age 2 was a little different where you couldn't like change armor and builds and stuff like that of your companions. But historically, it's definitely had pretty strong RPG elements where sometimes you have to pause your action and make decisions and set where people walk and things of that nature. Now it's more like Dragon's Dogma 2. Like AI is just going to control your companion's movement. They did say that you can decide when your characters will do like special abilities that are on cooldowns, but it's no longer going to be where you're positioning your party and feeling like you're in control of what they're doing.
Okay.
Which I see as a huge downside.
I view this as a huge downside too. This is the dumbing down of a game that is it like Dragon Age has always been like a bit of an action RPG, but it's also meshed a little bit of like a CRPG at the same time. And this is just, in my opinion, straight up dumbing down Dragon Age. This game's been in development for a long time. We don't have the time or resources to put in this feature, so we're just going to strip it out and tell people some really, really dumb excuse. Like, we tested it internally and, oh, this game's so much better if you don't have to worry about switching to your other characters, guys. Like, come on, man. And listen, I don't want to blow something out of proportion that like may not, ultimately affect the game. But like, this is going to affect the game, man. Like, this is going to be, it's going to not feel like Dragon Age at that point. Like, that's the problem, is that it's like, it's going to be the Dragon Age characters and the Dragon Age settings. But after that, this is going to be completely different than Dragon Age at that point.
It's just so stupid.
They look kind of goofy too, right? The character design looks different than normal.
A little bit.
Bit.
It's just been 10 years since Inquisition.
Okay.
So like things are going to naturally look different just with, all the tech advances and whatnot. I know I'm a little bit behind the curve. I know a lot of people have been hating on BioWare for a long time. I've been like 1 foot in that camp. I've lost my last final shred of faith in BioWare. I read some comments that I thought were kind of interesting. Josh, the creative director of Dragon Age, their name is John Epler. And he said that they had to learn from the failures of Anthem in order to do well with Dragon Age.
I saw this.
And you saw this?
I saw
He
this.
said that the problem of why Anthem failed is that they were focusing on something different that they weren't proficient at, while they should be doubling down on single player RPGs. Like, is that why Anthem failed?
No. Anthem had phenomenal bones.
The gameplay was great.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, they didn't cook it enough, and they didn't give you enough stuff to do. So it became very repetitive after 8 hours, and everybody went, wait, this is it? But that 8 hours was fantastic. So they obviously were onto something.
They don't know the problem.
Yeah. And then they talk about do what you know, but double down on what you're good at. And it's like, okay, well, give me an RPG then. Give me this action RPG where I can control my characters and this party and develop these characters in this party throughout my entire playtime in this game. I can start getting attached to these characters. I know how they fight. I can construct this party the way I want. I can go control the wizard and make him combo with this and cast a spell on the rogue and, all this strategic stuff that's great. And now they just go, nah, that's too much, man. It's too much,
guys.
Make
it action.
Make it, we want action because that's what people need. And we kind of change the graphics a little bit. So we got to make something else. That took a long time. So we have to cut something here and there. I don't buy it. I don't like it. Don't call it Dragon Age. You know what I mean? Like, is this game going to be fun? I have no doubt Like, legitimately, I have no doubt that this Dragon Age is going to be a good time and it's going to be a good video game. We kind of saw that in the 20-minute gameplay. But it's just not, it's not Dragon Age 4, man. You know, it's not the Dragon Age 4 that anybody asked for or was expecting. And it's like, you can try to sell this, but I feel like you're just like beating on the old junker car out in the, this baby gets 40 miles to the gallon if you get out and push. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, wait a minute, like, this is not, like, no. So,
well,
yeah,
I have my doubts, Josh. Yeah. I'm not convinced it's going to be super fun. We'll have to wait and see. I'm very worried that they don't seem to understand the problem with Anthem. They don't seem to understand what Dragon Age fans actually want. This all just seems so bananas.
They're lost. And they're trying. And the thing that I hate the most, we've been talking about this a lot, is get like, you know, developer honesty with like game delays. Hey, we don't want to go up against that game. And hey, we needed more time to polish this. We found a lot of bugs, whatever. But like, don't come out and say that this is to save gamers from themselves because we can't handle the actions per minute. Like, that's just dumb, man. Like, what is that? Like, what PR guy gave him that excuse? And he went, yeah, we'll roll with that. They'll buy it.
Well, we'll have to wait and see about the final product, but I'm not feeling very confident. All right, moving on to the next story. This is a shorter one, and then we'll take our break. So I'm sure we have a lot of older gamers because we're all gamer dads. You know, we're all in our 30s to mid 40s. And we're all used to the Half-Life 3 rumors. I feel like every couple of years these make their rounds. Well, we have another round of rumors. A voice actor whose name is Natasha Shondell listed a Valve project on her resume called Project White Sands, which has since been removed and is no longer listed. A lot of people noticed this listing, and they noticed the fact that White Sands is the name of a national park in New Mexico, which is where Black Mesa is located. Uh-huh. Half-Life 3 confirmed?
Oh, baby.
This is
Valve can't count that high, though. That's the thing.
They can't.
No, because they got CS2, TF2, Portal 2, Dota 2, Left 4 Dead 2. Nothing's a 3, and any game they make after that is just a new name. So, who knows? But I'll tell you this much. I've waited more than half my life for Half-Life 3.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy, dude.
Isn't that crazy? 20 years since Half-Life 2 came out.
It's never going to happen. Valve's just playing around.
But I don't think it's ever going to happen. I was going to ask you guys, do you legitimately think Half-Life 3 will ever come out? My answer is no, because what's the upside? They print money left and right. They bring in whatever, like
$6.5 million, I was reading.
They bring in billions of dollars a year with having 300 employees. Like, there's zero upside. All they're going to do is disappoint people with it, and they're making money. So I don't know why they would ever make it at this point anyway.
Just to say you did it, you know. I mean, why not? Look at BioWare and Dragon Age 4. They did it, guys.
No, don't do that.
Remember how excited we were about Overwatch 2 and Diablo 3?
No, don't go
and
there. Stop.
These follow-ups are so good.
Stop,
you know, they
Paul.
never get worse.
Oh man.
Yeah. And plus let's not ignore the fact that it's clearly a code name. And guess what? You usually don't make code names that are hints at the real project. I don't think this has anything to do with Half-Life.
I actually thought I thought it was maybe Deadlock, you know, like, because it's got such a cast of characters, but then there was a lot of thinking that it's like, no, Deadlock is already known. Like, I saw a thing that there's like 18,000 concurrent players right now in Deadlock, so they're like, it's not a secret anymore, Valve.
Yeah. And so, if it was, then why would they have pulled all their stuff down immediately?
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, don't get me wrong. Nothing would make me happier than Half-Life 3 coming out in my lifetime, you know, but I don't know.
Don't say lifetime. Oh, no.
Yeah, I'm just saying, it ain't never going to happen.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it would be a standalone, something kind of like Half-Life Alyx. I feel like that's like best case scenario.
Sequel to Half-Life Alyx makes more sense than Half-Life 3, to be honest.
Yeah, I totally agree as well. All right, let's go ahead and take a short break, then we'll come back and talk about Ryan's favorite, Zelda.
Hey, it's Kaylee Cuoco for Priceline. Ready to go to your happy place for a happy price? Well, why didn't you say so? Just download the Priceline app right now and save up to 60% on hotels. So whether it's Cousin Kevin's Kazoo Concert in Kansas City, go Kevin, or Becky's Bachelorette Bash in Bermuda, you never have to miss a trip ever again. So download the Priceline app today. Your savings are waiting.
Go to your happy place for a happy happy price. Go to your happy price, Priceline.
Want to teach your kids financial literacy, but not sure where to start? Greenlight can help. With Greenlight, parents can keep an eye on kids' spending and saving, while kids and teens use a card of their own to build money confidence. As a parent, you can send instant money transfers, set up chores, automate allowance, and more. It's a convenient way to run your household, customized to your family's needs, and the easy way to raise financially smart kids. Get started with Greenlight today and get your first month free at greenlight.com/Spotify.
All right, we're back. Now, this story is going to be a little bit older than a week by the time this episode airs, but Nintendo gave us another trailer for The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom, and we talked about how all of us started that last announcement trailer, and we were all kind of like, this looks really dumb.
Yeah.
And then by the end of the trailer, it was like, oh my gosh, like they've kind of come up with another really clever mechanic with this game. And so what Nintendo gave us here is basically like showing off the different biomes and talking about different ways to travel in the world. But they did also show us some new mechanics. And I was very curious to hear your guys' thoughts here. Like, what are some things we saw and what stuck out to you?
I'll tell you what we saw. We saw another company just joining the mob of the woke world where they go in and they turn Zelda into a woman. Can you believe it?
I can't believe it.
I can't even believe it, man. I just don't even know what to say.
Oh man,
walking straight into what's the name of the city with all women?
Oh, the desert one.
Yeah.
Oh, what's the name?
I
of
don't
that?
remember. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I know.
But it is very funny now that you're actually playing as Zelda.
Yeah,
you get to
I know,
waltz
right?
and you
You
don't
just
have
get
to
to
go
walk
find
right
the
on in.
clothes. Yeah. You don't have to sneak your way in.
I'm having a hard. This is so like superficial, guys. The
animation?
the animation
Yes, it's
and
so
the
bad.
graphics in this game make it look like it's made out of Play-Doh or like Legos, but like not Legos like the Duplos, like the cheap Legos.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, why does this look like this game was put together by preschoolers like in that art style? I don't know. It distracts me. I will say, I think underlying, there's a lot of really neat mechanics. You can tell Nintendo was like, dude, Ultra Hand, you know, all this stuff that they did with Tears of the Kingdom, they are now just absolutely embracing that whole sandbox, open thinking mentality of let's just give people tools and see what they do with them. You know, that's what this Zelda game was kind of advertised as. We talked about it with the echoes, where if you can get the echoes of beds, you can build bridges with them and stuff like that. And they showed off a ton of that. But then what they did is they started talking about, hey, if something's moving, you can attach yourself to it. And so if you attach yourself to a bird that's flying around, you will fly around with the bird. And then I was like, well, okay, this is really cool. Like, honestly, like the game might look really weird to me, but these are some neat aspects. And then the reverse one where it's like, if you're moving, you can pull something with you. And in the game trailer, they gave like this little snippet of where there's this giant boulder that you can't break, but you can attach yourself to it and then walk and it will follow you. And then you just drop it into this like abyss. And now you can get past this boulder kind of thing. I mean, this stuff's pretty cool, man.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
The stuff is cool. And I mean, that's one of the biggest things for like Tears of the Kingdom. The Ultra Hand is what sold me on that game. And it still continues to. Me and my son just yesterday were watching different stuff people have made for like 45 minutes. We're just sitting there watching all these crazy creations. And it just shows when you give people the tools to just go have fun and go crazy, the imagination and the stuff they can do within the game is awesome. I'm having a real hard time getting past this style. Like, they finally give her own game, like where she's the badass chick, and they put it in this? No.
I know.
When I fired up the trailer, immediately I was like, wait, why did I like this game again? And I was like, oh, yeah. The wand and the duplicate. And I'm like, this looks so stupid. And then by the end of the trailer, again, I was like, all right, bind and reverse bind. This looks very cool. I loved when they showed Zelda grabbing a spike ball and binding to it, and then just running around popping enemies using this spike ball as a weapon. And I'm like, that's so neat. I have no doubt that this is going to start showing up on my TikTok feed, same way Tears of the Kingdom did. There's going to be very goofy things that speedrunners do. I think people are going to discover really clever ways of duplicating items, using Bind. And it's not that long before this game comes out. It comes out in like less than 6 weeks.
That's crazy.
It's September 26th.
Okay, so here's a question, like legitimately for you guys. Like and this could just be the way that they present the game in this like preschool style of toys almost. I don't even know how to describe it, but that's like the best way I can, right? It's like, it reminds me of like toys that you'd find in like a preschool class.
Yeah, it almost looks like claymation.
Yeah. Yeah, it's something weird, man. But like, okay, so with Tears of the Kingdom, I have to, even though, that's not my favorite game ever, I have to give them credit with especially some of the shrines. Like some of the stuff in these puzzles were very, very cool to figure out and overcome with the Zonai contraptions and stuff like that. And just letting you kind of roll with how you want to approach it. It could just be the way that this game is presented, but I feel like there's these really cool tools and there's these neat mechanics that they've introduced. But I almost feel like, is this going to be a really dumbed down sandbox? Where it's like, yeah, you can do all this stuff, but you don't ever really have to think about a lot of it. Like where do they balance the giving you these abilities, but also the challenge level of the game itself? Because if you can do both, it winds up coming out really, really good and entertaining. But if the challenge level is super simple, even though you have all these tools, it's kind of like, for me, that would just be the most boring thing ever. So it's like, I'm very curious to see how they balance those two things.
Yeah. I mean, because, if you have this cool way to do these amazing things and then you're just like, get across this lake or get up to that building.
Yeah, I just throw beds down and that's it.
Yeah.
Like I can solve every single problem in the game with just throwing a couple beds down and climbing up on those. Like, that's not interesting to me.
Yeah, it's not engaging. It doesn't draw you in as much. Because I know personally, there were some shrines I did where I was like just beating my head against the wall, and then I came up with some crazy way to do it, and I'm like, I don't think that's how they designed it, but I got it done, and like that's rewarding. That's fun, and I same thing. I hope that there's stuff like that in this where you're drawn to be so creative instead of just kind of using the same spam technique to get around simple stuff.
It.
Challenge.
Right, yeah.
Exactly.
I don't think there's going to be a lot of challenge. I mean, it's Zelda. Even if a couple of shrines are a little bit more difficult and it takes you a few minutes, Zelda's not a game that ever presents like major challenge.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think it's going to be simple, but I think it's going to be a really fun sandbox. And I think it's going to present a lot of fun. I think kind of like Tears, it's going to set some new mechanics that I think we're going to end up seeing in other games down the road. All right, so let's go ahead and move into our last story of the week. So A Quiet Place, The Road Ahead, is an upcoming game. It's set in the world of the movies. If anyone listening somehow hasn't seen any of these, it's about blind aliens. You haven't seen them, Ryan?
No.
Wait,
it's a dumb
really?
story.
None of them? Dude,
None
The
of
Quiet
them.
Place is good, dude.
Okay, you have aliens that can't see. They go strictly by the sound.
Yes.
And yet people can still walk around and breathe and do all this stuff. They would easily hear all that stuff.
They're not that sensitive unless they're nearby.
Why not?
But they can hear you if you're like if they're in the room with you, you better like be holding your breath kind of thing. But from further away, you just can't make any loud sounds.
Well, and if you had seen the movies, Ryan, you would know that they carve special ways of walking. So they have to walk certain paths where they've cleared out gravel and stuff like that. So that way they don't make any noise. The game, it's first person perspective. It's a horror game, of course, to match the movies. It's set to release on October 17th and it's going to be $30. So it is a little bit on the cheaper side, which I like. We have not talked about this game at all, even though there have been a couple of previews and trailers. I will say you play as a pregnant college student who has asthma, which is almost over the top funny, making a game where you can't make noise. Like, seriously, are there any two things that are going to make more noise than like asthma and being pregnant? But in any case, did you guys have a chance to watch any footage about this? I wasn't sure. We have not talked about this at all on the show or off.
I did. I got instant Alien Isolation vibes from this game.
Well, we have Alien Isolation at home vibes.
I mean, it's true. It's true. But I'll tell you what, I am a fan of that suspenseful horror like Alien Isolation does. And so this does at least like pique my interest where, man, like if you watch the trailer, I think that gives you a pretty good idea of the sense of dread that is happening when that thing is crawling around looking for you and you're right there. or you have to take a puff of your inhaler and hope that it doesn't hear you, and it kind of builds that suspense and stuff like that. So I will say I think they did a very good job kind of showcasing what this game is going to be, but I'm also with you, Paul, where it's like, why shouldn't I just play Alien Isolation if this is the experience that I'm looking for?
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I said how I felt. I haven't seen the movies, but I was a little unsure, but this game looks kind of cool to me. I'm you know how I like post-apocalyptic worlds, like the world's torn apart and you're just trying to survive and stuff like that. I like the part when she, you see her hitting the inhaler, and what a hard thing to do when you're sitting there, you don't want to die, but you also can't breathe, and you're not trying to cough or any of that stuff. And the suspense, like you said, Josh, you can feel it even just watching the trailer. So I love that kind of stuff too. So I don't know, for $30, it may be worth the flyer, check it out and see how good it is.
It is kind of funny seeing like the lungs and like as you have to take the inhaler, but you haven't, and you can see like as it gets worse and worse, wanting to take that inhaler so you don't die. I will say I like the idea of them trying to make it suspenseful, where you're sneaking around and stuff like that. I think this has a couple of problems. I don't know that it's going to have any combat, because this is totally about trying to escape
you don't fight
these
things.
aliens.
Yeah.
You don't fight them. So right off the bat, that kind of puts like an upper limit to me for how good it's going to be. And I was already feeling bored watching 10-minute clips of this. Like, I don't know if you guys noticed, but every time you open a door or open like a vent, like you have to slowly move your controller. And I know we haven't done our deep dive of Heavy Rain yet, but let's just say Ryan definitely struggles a bit with doing the slow actions. And this was just like every 10 to 30 seconds, you're trying to open something slowly and you're so slowly creeping around. I would worry that I'm going to get bored with that kind of like slow process.
That's fair. That's fair. As long as the thing they have to do is make sure that they build enough of that suspense in there to where you don't get bored. It reminded me too of kind of like sneaking around with the clickers in Last of Us. Like you just hear that
100%,
that clicker noise, and you're trying to go around, and then it's suspenseful. It's intense just doing that little section. What would be cool if they were in these types of games where there's obviously, it's not like you can 1v1 one of these monsters, but if you they had a way to where you could set up a trap or something, so you were still interacting but found a way to fight them, as opposed to like just straight up fight. But I don't know, we'll see. If it's too slow, I probably will get bored too.
Yeah, you can build suspense, but if that suspense if nothing ever happens,
you got the payoff. You need the payoff,
right? Exactly. Then you just start getting kind of bored. I will say in the trailer, like the girl accidentally kicks like a metal bucket and it bang, and I was instantly, because I've seen the movies, and I was like, oh no, and then I was like, that even got me in the trailer. So I don't know. I'm curious. Again, I mean, I think this experience kind of already exists, but Quiet Place is a really, really good couple movies. I haven't seen the newest one in the theaters. I've heard it's pretty decent, but
the prequel one.
Yeah. So I mean, this is one that probably won't really stay on my radar. But then again, it's October. There's really nothing coming out in October, so maybe.
Unless we're all still playing Zelda. Did you guys notice how loud the footsteps were? Like, everyone can't stop making jokes about it because you're not supposed to make any noise. These are the loudest footsteps I've ever heard in a game.
That's what I'm saying, man.
They gotta
stomping
juice it
around
up.
there.
Yeah, they gotta juice it up though. If it's sound related, you gotta be like, oh, I'm making so much noise by walking.
Yeah, and walking around with a sound meter where you can see how much noise you're making.
Maybe this will give Hellblade 2 a run for its money for you, Josh.
Yeah, I don't think
Could
so.
be. Could be.
I don't know about that. Walking simulator? Maybe.
All right. Well, that is it for today. We would like to ask all our listeners out there, if you enjoy what we do and like the show, if you want some more content or even just to help us out, you can sign up for Patreon support starting at $5 a month. Go just visit multiplayersquad.com. Please also make sure to rate the show 5 stars. You can join the free Discord. You can also catch us on socials everywhere at Video Gamers Pod. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time, happy gaming.
See ya.
Okay, see you everybody.